I'm wearing the Squid Game uniform right now because I fear that there's lives on the line, okay? If I hadn't already been a groovy ghost, I would be fearing that this is my last day, okay? Because I asked you guys to share with me your most controversial music opinion, and boy did y'all deliver. So let's get into it. First one, I can't figure out how to word it without sounding mean, and then I just said, you can be mean, it's aight. I encourage it, actually. On to like the first actual controversial opinion here. I respect the Beatles and what they contributed culturally and musically to the world, but I'm not a fan. We are starting out of the gate pretty strong, just going straight for the throat with the Beatles. Here's the thing, I think if you say anything about the Beatles that's not just like the highest of praises, you will you'll start a witch hunt. You'll be burnt at the stake, unfortunately. You will be hanged, drawn, and quartered. But I feel like that's not a very rare opinion. I feel like that's where like most people fall under, but like they don't want to say it because if you say it, then it's like, oh boy, this guy hates the Beatles, get him. But I feel like you're not alone. I feel like there's a good amount of y'all that think that way. So saying this out loud is blasphemy, but I feel like this isn't as unknown as you think it would be. But anyway, I like Weezer. They're my second favorite band, as a matter of fact. I love Weezer. I'll take this even further and say that my mom went to a Weezer concert with me, and she says that that is the best concert she's ever been to. She loves Weezer as well, and I love my mom. I think she's a pretty cool lady, so if she likes Weezer, then there's probably something to it. W's in the chat for Weezer. This is a safe space for Weezer lovers here. Bohemian Rhapsody is a bad song. Again, y'all are just like, woo, y'all are not holding back with this one. But like, I get it, okay? If you think about it objectively, taking it away from like Queen and Queen's legacy, it is kind of an absurd song. It goes on for entirely too long, and like the second half of the song is just insanity. And it's really out there, and it's bold, and in your face, so I can see where a lot of people don't resonate with that. Even though saying that Queen has a bad song feels just like terrible to say, but I get it, I guess. Not controversial, but 2000s music was extremely horny. Yeah, basically. I was a child during the early 2000s, but I remember some bangers. I feel like that was the prime time to be clubbing, but I unfortunately was not the age to be clubbing back then. There were a lot of songs that I listened to as a child that I listen to them now, and I'm like, I shouldn't have been listening to that. But to be really, really fair, I had no idea what was going on. Like You in Your Hand by Pink. No idea what that meant. Scaled and Icy is a good album. It's fine. Alright, it's fine. As a pop album, it stands pretty good. And if you take it away from anything else that 21 Pilots has done and just look at it as a standalone thing, it's solid. Okay, it's a good pop album. But I just feel as though 21 Pilots can do better. And they have done better. Which is why I have so mixed emotions about that album. You don't have to know everything about an artist or know every song or album to call yourself a fan. You can like the mainstream stuff, singles, and be just as much as a fan. I agree. Kaylee, I think that's your name, Kaylee, I agree with you 1000%. Why was I like being like presidential here? I agree. My fellow Americans, I agree with you. I don't know why we make it such like a weird competition to like earn the title fan. It's like you have to know all of their lore, you have to know all of the songs, you have to know all of the stuff. You have to know what the lead singer was doing on a random Tuesday and 5 years ago, or you're a fake fan. I don't get it. I think the only thing that makes you a fan is if you like the music, and that's it. And it doesn't matter how many songs you like. If you find a band and you just like one of their songs, you're a fan. Nickelback is overhated, melodically pretty strong, and musically proven talented. Same goes for Limp Bizkit. As far as like these dad rock bands, you know, these bands that are like really clean and polished and kind of are made to produce radio hits, Nickelback is pretty strong. I mean, for what it is, it's a strong band. I don't think that they deserve the hate that they get. I think the same goes for Limp Bizkit and Nickelback. I think that it just became like a meme to hate them for some reason. I don't know if the people saying that actually mean that. I think they're just kind of going along with like this weird inside joke that we've kept on forever. But yeah, I'll admit it, I like some Nickelback songs, so I agree with this one. Artists should be more abstract with their religious meanings in music, because when the artist's beliefs are front and center, it can be alienating for the listener if they don't align with what the artist is preaching. Having abstract concepts can make it easier for the listener to interpret and find their own connection to the music. Here's the thing with that. If the artist wants to have like a broader audience, I think that's fine if they want to make their things more abstract. Certainly 21 Pilots do this a lot. lot, and I think it's the reason why so many people don't really recognize that they're basically a Christian rock band, because every time that they bring up religion, it's hidden behind all of the symbolism, the universe that they've created. It's all just like metaphors, and there's a lot of stuff that people can apply to that if it's so vague. So I see where you're going with this, but at the same time, if an artist just wants to be straight up and be like, I love Jesus, I think that's cool too. You know, as I said, Christian rock bands, gospel music, they are genres, and I feel like they can exist if they want to. Because here's the thing too, you're never gonna create art that's going to resonate with everyone. You're never gonna create a song that's so vague and broad that it can apply to everyone. And I think if it did, it would be really boring, but I think it's just impossible to do. Like, no matter what kind of song you write, you're gonna alienate somebody, so just do what you want to, really. Pinkerton by Weezer is not a masterpiece, as many people say. While I can respect the creative vision for the album, especially with how raw it is, it could come across as feeling very TMI lyrically and unfinished sounding production-wise. Masterpiece, at least for me, implies that there is little to no flaws. However, it's the album I'm most 50-50 on. The person who said that they love Weezer probably does not like this comment. Yeah, the term masterpiece is just so weird for me, because I think it kind of doesn't exist. Masterpiece, as the general consensus kind of implies, that there is no flaws and that this thing is perfect in every sort of way. But humans creating this music, and no, AI music is not real, get that out of here. Humans that create this music are not perfect. There isn't an album out there that is perfect. And certainly there are albums out there that are just so like famous that they are considered masterpieces. Abbey Road by the Beatles, Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. Let me just say something really quick. If you say anything bad against Fleetwood Mac and Rumors, you shall fall. Okay, this is not a safe space for you. You are in enemy lines and you will be executed as you should be. If you consider those albums that by a majority of people consider masterpieces, there's still some people out there that don't like it. And so it doesn't really matter if you have these albums that are just like, you know, iconic. They still can't please everyone. And does that consider them a masterpiece if there's still people that don't think they're that great? So I don't think that we're ever going to collectively decide if something is a masterpiece, and that's fine. So I think we kind of have personal masterpieces. You know, the albums and songs that I consider masterpieces, there are flaws within them, and I think that's part of the reason why I think they're masterpieces, because I like the imperfection, but I understand that's not everybody's thing. And so if it's not a masterpiece for you, I think that's fine. Everyone's got their own little taste going on, and that's what makes the world go around. Imagine Dragons gets more hate than they deserve. Yes, their sound has become more commercial over time, but most of the criticism I see against them is that all of their music sounds the same, which is simply not true. I've been listening to them for over a decade. Their earlier stuff is really good and has a lot of themes of mental health that has helped me through hard time in the same way 21 Pilots and Linkin Park have. I feel the Dragons deserve more respect because they are really talented and genuinely good people too. They've started and contributed to multiple charities ranging from childhood cancer to the LGBTQ+ community, and yet people still treat them and their music like the worst thing in the world. It's just sad to see, even if I'm not as big of a fan of their new stuff. I'm just gonna be upfront with you. I'm not the biggest Imagine Dragons fan. I just don't really like bands that are that polished. Like, I understand that's kind of what they are. I mean, they are a band that just produces radio hits, and so they have like a really clean sound. I think that's why a lot of people say it sounds the same or it sounds commercial, is because they are a band that produces radio hits. And so that kind of is off-putting to me in a way, but I'm not gonna yuck someone else's yum, okay? Like, I get it. I understand that the band is really nice and they do a lot of great things, and I think that's great and wonderful. But I can't help but feeling that Imagine Dragons is kind of like the chicken nuggets of music, where it's like, it's good, it's fine, I'll eat it, but you know, it's not like this very expensive steak over here. That's just how I feel about it, but I'm really glad that you have connected with them in this sort of way. And I think you are kind of pointing out something, like, if you're not just into a band and you haven't listened to their older stuff or listened to all of their albums and you're just listening to like the popular songs, radio tends to pick songs that do kind of sound the same. So if somebody's just listening to what's popular by them, they probably are gonna have like some skewed view of it. But you know, Machine Gun Kelly, Machine Gun Kelly doesn't deserve the amount of hate he gets. I agree that he has done controversial things in the past, but I believe people can change. I expect a lot of people won't like my opinion, but that's just me. I hate Machine Gun Kelly with a burning passion, so I feel like I can't speak on this. I get so pissed whenever anyone uses the term fake true fan unironically. I feel like liking things shouldn't be a competition or something you have to prove. Someone might know more about something than you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they like it more than you. If someone tells me they're a fan of something, I'm not going to make them prove it to me. This whole opinion was not made because my siblings name a 21 Pilots song after only listening to the first second of it, and I can't. I'm totally not being a sore loser. What? I agree with you. It's a lot like what the person said previously. I don't think it should be like some weird competition. If you like the music, you're a fan, and that's it. And I don't know why it has to be like such a clout competition. And I say this as someone who is so obsessed and sick in the head that MTV contacted me and put me on their show to showcase how mentally sick in the head I am about 21 Pilots. Our brains are sick, but that's okay. You shouldn't feel ashamed or be shamed for liking popular or basic music. It can be good and often is, even though the song got popular for not so incredibly mainstream artists are often popular for a reason. Though I'm not discrediting small artists at all, they can be epic and deserve more love and attention. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think everything that you listen to has to be like some cool indie underground band that no one's heard of. And like you said, these songs are popular for a reason. They're popular because a lot of people like them, which means there's probably a reason a lot of people like them, aka they're probably good songs. And I'm not saying that goes for every like pop basic song, but the majority of them, I see why they're popular. And I don't think anyone should be ashamed for it either. I don't know why we have to be like a music historian and know everything that happens ever in music to enjoy music. If you're the type of person that just turns on the radio and just listens to whatever, I think that's cool. I don't think it's a problem at all. This person's name is actually Misguided Ghost, but there's 2 D's, so maybe it's Misguided Ghost. From the Groovy Ghost to the Misguided Ghost, from one ghost to another, I agree with you. Fellow ghost, hello. Radiohead's In Rainbows is better than OK Computer. I feel like when it comes to favorite albums, it can be so different depending on who you ask, and nobody is necessarily wrong because there's a whole plethora of reasons why someone thinks one album is better than the other, and it's sometimes hard to compare the two. If you're listening to Radiohead in any sort of capacity, that's a win for me. These two are right next to each other. Taylor Swift is overrated, Sabrina Carpenter is better. Taylor Swift is overrated. I don't think this is controversial at all. I feel like a lot of people would agree with you. There were even people replying to these comments and saying, I agree. I don't think it's controversial at all. I feel like a lot of people agree with you on that one. And let me just say, as a Taylor Swift enjoyer, she was the first concert I've ever been to. It was actually her first tour ever. That's how long I've been here, bro. I've been here for a while. I'm very fond of Taylor Swift at times. Sometimes I'm not. I really don't understand how someone gets that uber famous, just like in general. It's like insane to me. She really is a phenomenon. I also feel like there's a lot of other girlies in the game right now that can out-sing her, and I'll just leave it at that. Speaking of girls that can out-sing Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter. I feel like when it comes to recognizing Sabrina as a pop star, we're good. Like, she is obviously incredibly successful right now and a lot of people like her. When it comes to recognizing her as a vocalist and how she can sing, I feel like a lot of people are kind of sleeping on her, at least from what I've seen. I don't know, I'm not really in the Sabrina sphere. The things that she does vocally is very interesting and complex sometimes, especially for pop music, and I think she's incredibly talented. TBH, I really dislike Olivia Rodrigo, Billie Eilish, and Sabrina Carpenter. Again, I feel like this is one of those things, it's not really that controversial. I mean, I know they are really popular, but because they are really popular, you're gonna get a bunch of people that don't like them, and that's fine. This is kind of along the same vein. Chappell Roan, Conan Gray, Sabrina Carpenter, Charlie XCX, 21 Pilots are all overrated, and they're not bad, they just get boring and repetitive after a while, just my opinion. Saying 21 Pilots is overrated is indeed quite controversial on this channel, haha. I love her channel, but I don't know, 21 Pilots I never cared for much. Get out of here! You are banned from Groovy Graveyard Nation. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's probably what you wanted me to say. It's alright, you're fine. You could stay here. If you play nice, you're just on thin ice. No, I'm kidding. This kind of goes along with the first one. I feel like anyone who has reached the status of these artists, you're going to see them a lot. And I think if you're not really into them, it does kind of feel repetitive because you don't like it. And it probably gets on your nerves because you're seeing these people everywhere, which leads to a dislike. I felt the same way about Minions back when Minions were a thing and they were everywhere. I hated those little guys. So if these artists are like your Minions, I get it. That being said, I will stand up for my boys here, okay? 21 Pilots is interesting to me because, and I'm not just saying this, I swear I'm not just saying this, it seems like they are the most not famous band ever. Like, even with the other artists that you compared here, success-wise, yeah, they're probably on the same level, similar level. But, like, it doesn't feel the same. It just doesn't feel the same. They feel like a small band at times. Because if you think about it, 21 Pilots, if you think mainstream-wise, hasn't existed outside of the clique in quite some time. I mean, they had The Line, which brought in arcane fandoms, and a lot of people saw 21 Pilots when they were on that award show, but that was, like, really the only thing that brought in the locals lately. If you want to argue and say that Blurryface is overrated, I'll let you have that one. But 21 Pilots as a whole, I feel like they're, like, weirdly underrated, but not at the same time. It's a weird thing. Thank you guys, I guess, for sharing your controversial music opinions. This was a wild ride, but I think we all made it. Shout out to 67, you are forever in my heart, girl. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe to join the Groovy Graveyard, and I will see you in the next one.